Hey everyone, welcome to the Horror Syndicate. I am Seth, and tonight I am joined by my fellow Supernatural fans, Virginia and Luke. This is our new Tuesday show, the Supernatural Syndicate, a show that that is completely dedicated to the TV show Supernatural from 2005 to 2020. We're all big fans of it. We've seen them all, and we just love it so much that we want to talk about it um, with each other. So, first up, how are you guys doing tonight?
Wonderful.
Fantastic.
Yes, sir. Fantastic. Great.
Those are very convincing reactions, guys.
Hey,
Thank
I
you.
think so. Okay, don't be hating on us.
How
I
about
can't
you?
help it. I'm an idiot like that. What's that?
Yeah,
Did you have a
excellent.
good day? Did you
Yeah,
have a
not too
good day?
bad. Not too
Good.
bad.
Good. Rock and roll.
Yeah, I'm just hoping less glitching for me.
Okay. Okay. Me
So,
too.
yeah. So you guys ready? You guys ready to talk some supernatural here?
Yeah, man.
Maybe,
Okay.
Maybe.
maybe. Don't
We'll
mess with the
see.
maybe, baby.
We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
We are discussing tonight the pilot episode, the first episode of the show. On the episode, we'll go into our thoughts. We'll go into our favorite scenes, our line. Virginia will have some trivia. Luke will have some info on lore, and then we'll do our final thoughts after that. Shouldn't be too long of an episode, but I'm looking forward to talking about this with you guys. I was telling my friend earlier tonight that I don't have anyone to really talk about the show, so that's why this type of thing would get. So glad you guys are here to talk about this with me.
absolutely.
So basically, to summarize the pilot episode here, 22 years after the mysterious death of Mary Winchester, brothers Dean and Sam, a life of hunting, all things supernatural, reunite to track down their father John, who never returned home from a hunt. The brothers begin by heading to the California town where John was working a case involving the sudden disappearance of men at the mercy of the ghostly woman in white.
Hmm.
But instead of finding answers about the father, they are left with more questions, and to me, first it appears that whatever must be earned. So, let's get into some thoughts on this episode from you guys. We're going to do a rotation like we talked about before. I'm going to switch up between you two. I will go last every time. I'm going to start with Virginia. What are your thoughts on the pilot episode?
Yeah. Of course, you would start with me. um, I mean, I don't know. I mean, thoughts. Just I love the episode. If we didn't have it, we wouldn't have the rest of it. I mean, with the introduction of Sam and Dean and seeing how they kind of play off of each other and their relationship, that kind of just gives you a taste of what's going to be coming. I mean, you get the suspense and you get a little bit of humor. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I love the episode. It's one of my favorites. It's in my top five, actually.
Hell yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's all I got.
very, it
Okay.
is.
Well,
Well,
Seth.
it is a very good episode. I mean, even not just talking about it because of what it started, just like
Yeah.
in general, I think it's a really good episode. It's really good television. Um, Luke, your
Yes, sir.
thoughts on the episode?
All right, man. So I dug it. I really like the cinematography of this show. I love it. I love darker and I don't know. I love lore, and the White Lady is pretty interesting. In my research, and of course, there's been movies about it and things like that. But I thought it was done very well. They chose some of the most popular takes or stories and kind of interwove some of them together. It was pretty cool. little La Llorona that was thrown in there too as well. So it's pretty cool. And I just like the dynamic of the
Yeah.
brothers, very much so. Dean is just such a badass, and I don't know. And Sam is wonderful, and it was just good to get to see him, introduced to him. Jeffrey Dean Morgan is John. I've always liked him a lot, so having him on there, I was like, yes. Wish we had a little more of him, but that makes you like it even more, I guess. But yeah, I just like what it sets up too. I know that's not really something you want to base it on, but it sets it up nicely. Ties in a subplot with the overall, narrative, and I think it works to really good effect. That's all I got. Elvis Costello.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a couple of things that you mentioned there that I definitely agree with. You mentioned it being dark, and like a lot of the like crew that worked on this also came from like the X Files. A lot of them, there's a lot of like very similar names. If you pay attention to the credits of the X Files episodes, and you pay
Yeah.
attention to the credits of Supernatural, you'll notice a lot of really familiars there,
That's cool.
and so I think having those people involved kind of really helped add to the atmosphere of it. And then with the brothers and the dynamic between the brothers too, I think that's probably the most appealing thing. I mean, we could say that about this entire show. I mean, not just the brothers supporting cast that comes in later on as the show goes on. It's just all very likable, very likable characters and stuff. Yeah, it's funny too. So I was watching this right came on. I was watching the pilot episode again, and it's kind of funny to go back to season one after knowing everything that happens. You look back at this episode and like think about the simpler times.
Yeah.
Their lives get more fucked up from here.
That's an
100%.
understatement.
Yeah, yeah. But
100%.
I mean, you watch like the first half of season one, and just like it's like things were so easy, so much easier for them in comparison to what comes later. Yeah. So, that's I really enjoyed it so because I think it was a good setup for the show. It starts right off with the catalyst with the death of Mary Winchester, and then it cuts to 22 years later, and they establish a lot in a short period of time, mostly due to like exposition dumps. Just there's talking on the way to Dean's car. They're just going through their entire history, pretty much. But it's done in a decent way. Yeah, and then it sets up like the season arc, which is finding John, and then of course then the bigger mystery, of course, is with what happens at the very end of it with Jess. So yeah, I think it was a really good setup episode.
Sure.
Do you guys have any additional thoughts? Because I mean, yeah.
I also like, man, I said it last week, I love the rural areas they go to, man. I dig it so much. The cinematography. I'm impressed too how likable they are with their different personalities. When you cast somebody for these shows, they had to look at I don't know how many people. You can only imagine auditioning, and they're just so likable. That's the first thing that drew me into it was them. And then you combined, like I said, the cinematography, the art direction, everything. And this episode, like I said, I think I've said pretty much all I got to say. Yeah. I just like to talk.
I just like to talk.
Yeah. But I'm done talking right now.
No, you're not.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sure.
Don't lie.
Sure.
What about you, Virginia? You have anything? Virginia, you have
I mean,
anything else to say about this episode? Anything that you?
I mean, I pretty much said everything that I'm just gonna say. Like Luke, what you were saying with the characters and how they got along. I have some stuff that I was gonna say about that later. But yeah, I mean, I love the episode. I actually watched it twice within like the last like 4 hours, just having it in the background because I can just listen to it and know what's going on. Um, yeah, I just love the episode. It's simple and it just takes you back and oh, it's just I don't know. I just love it.
I like the simpler times thing because it
Yes.
really is, man. Wow.
Before everything gets crazy.
I know.
Apocalypse and angels, and
I
Lucifer.
know. Right.
Oh,
Crazy.
it turns into a headache.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I couldn't deal with it. I would run and hide. I'd be like, fuck you, demons. No.
Peace out.
Fuck you, Rebar. I'm getting out of here. None of this.
Right there with you. So I'm stubborn. I'd probably stay there anyway.
Oh yeah. I would definitely die quick, probably. I'd be a vampire or something, you know. Have all my teeth. I would feast on animals, though. You know.
Don't lie. No, you wouldn't. You'd be going after Seth.
Hey, Seth. You in Vermont?
Leave me out of this, man.
Here in Tennessee, we do have vampires. And they're mean. They're scary, too.
Luke, you're so special.
I know. Remember? I told Nathan today, I said, saying I got kicked by a donkey covers everything. So,
dude, how many times do I have to tell you? Elephant.
An elephant.
You're supposed to change it. Red bud elephant. I'm gonna keep on reminding you until you remember.
Okay, you're gonna have to because obviously I keep forgetting. Okay.
Clearly. Probably just do that on purpose to drive me crazy. It's working.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
But Supernatural, Seth, yes, it is awesome. You probably said that a million times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's get into the next one, which is favorite scene, and why. Give a lengthy example of why there, Luke.
All right, man. My favorite scene is when they're on the bridge. And they get to talking about, like, Sam is still, like, not wanting to do it at all. He's like, I think maybe a little part of him, I don't know, but he's definitely verbalizing that, hey, I'm not digging this and I'll help you. But after this, you know, I got a life that I'm going to go back to. Got this job lined up, interview and everything. And, hey, I appreciate it. Hope we can find Dad. And then when they get to talking, like, what does he say exactly? They're talking about the case, and then they start walking. It's right before they have dialogue, and Dean actually grabs him and is like, you know, when he talks about Mary, he's like, no matter what we do, she's gone. And Dean didn't like it too much and told him, don't talk about her like that. I just thought that was a pretty powerful scene because Sam wasn't saying he didn't care. I think maybe a part of him was afraid. I don't know. He really hung on to he didn't have a regular childhood. You know, he said that a couple times, I think, in different episodes. But they were raised as warriors and not normal. You know, I kind of thought about Jamie Lee Curtis and Karen. Is that her daughter's name? In the Halloween movies, the new ones. The training and everything, you know, kids learning how to fight and do all that shit in the woods. Yeah. But that scene, man, I really liked it. I liked the way they talked to each other. I love how dedicated Dean is to it. And Sam is like, so you want me to be dedicated to Dad's idea and all this? And no matter what, Mom's gone. And I just thought it was powerful, especially when Dean grabs him and he slams him, but not like trying to hurt him. I guess just hey, shut the fuck up, you know. You gotta do that sometimes. It happens to me all the time. People are like,
and you kind of and you kind of understand both characters from their perspectives too, because like Sam was only 6 old and Mary died, so he didn't really know her. He didn't have a relationship, whereas
Absolutely.
So you understand that sort of different characters too.
The dynamic or whatever.
Yeah. What about you, Virginia? What's your favorite scene and why?
This is a hard one to answer because there's so much to like about this episode. Uh, but I always go back to the ending where Sam lays on the bed and then he realizes that Jessica's on the ceiling. And you have the fire, and Dean runs in to save him just in time and he pulls him out. And it just goes back to the beginning of the episode where you have Mary on the ceiling and dealing with all that. And their dad, John, handing Sam to Dean and telling him to take him outside. So it's like you have it at the beginning of the episode and then the end of the episode, Dean is saving Sam both times, getting him out of there and protecting him, which really foreshadows everything that's going to happen with how Dean is and how protective he is of Sam.
Yep.
I just love that part. I love how that goes together.
Yeah.
That was mine too, but
too,
I got it mixed up.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Seth?
So my favorite scene is actually a moment is episode. I just pull up bridge and glitching.
A little bit.
Just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I like the scene where they first come up to the bridge and looking for that one guy get, and there's that music, there's that certain music cue that the show has from time to time when there's something kind of fun, when they're trying to have fun with it, and Dean pulls out the box with all the fake badges in it, and they go talk to cops, and Dean kind of gets a little lippy with a bit, and Dean eventually slaps him in the back of the head after. It's just it really, they really captured like the brother aspect of it. I mean, I think that's what really nailed it for me, and that's one of my favorite scenes in the on top of the ones that you guys mentioned too, which were great. I mean, that moment right after, the scene that Luke picked on the bridge later on in the life, and he starts chasing him. I mean, that was a cool scene, and then the ending too was kind of unexpected too. I mean, when I got into this series, I knew it was already well started, and I knew that Sam gonna go off to law school, but at the same time, just watching it from the perspective of watching it for the very first time, you think that everything's all honky dory. Sam's going back, and he's not gonna get back into this life, and then all of a sudden, she's pinned to the roof. Once again, mirroring the scene from the beginning, which was cool. Yeah, those are all really cool scenes. Have any favorite lines? You can do more than one if you want. We're going to start with Virginia on this one.
What are we doing? Favorite what?
Line.
Line. Okay.
Favorite lines.
I have two of them. So after Sam crashes the car into the creepy house, and Dean tells Sam, "If you screw up my car, I'll kill you." Which goes to show how important the car is to him, which obviously leads into everything else. But I always laugh so hard at that. And the second one being when Dean and Sam, one of them says jerk and the other one says bitch. I just love that. And I love to say it all the time. It just goes together. And it just, again, it goes to show their relationship. And I just love that so much. Those are my two.
I loved when they break out the box and Sam's like, what does it say? Motorhead, AC/DC. I can't remember all the bands. I like that a lot. And then I like the one where Dean first comes in and Jess and Sam, and he's like, you can tell me anything, you know, in front of Jess. And he's like, Dad's out hunting and he hasn't been home in a few days. And then Sam's like, oh shit, okay. I like that a lot, man. I like when they play it back. I just like Dean's face and the way he says it. I don't know. I can't explain it, but
yeah.
And what else? I like the bitch line going back and forth.
Yeah,
I always get a kick out of that. Say what? Did he say something? I don't know.
Not that I forgot.
Oh, okay.
Do you have any others?
Not that I can think of. I like a lot of them. I tried to remember them. What was another one? Dean. I don't know. Let's talk about something else. It'll come back to me. If I think of it, I'll let you know when I figure it out.
Okay.
It's a me problem, Seth.
Favorite line. Yeah. Okay. My favorite is no chick flick moments.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
Oh, man. I think that really helped. That really, for me, that defined this show for me, because that just was like, it was almost like the creator saying, this isn't gonna be one of those shows with all these angst and all these love stories. It's gonna be, you know, two brothers, and that's the great thing about this show too, is like they deal with human emotion on a more, I don't know, more reasonable level. You know, it's not person A likes person C's there, something like that. There's genuine heart to these characters and to the emotions that are in play in the show. But the no chick flicks moment thing, that was just it's Dean defined pretty much. I mean, that's his whole character and you know, his whole attitude, and I just love it, you know. So that is my favorite line from the show. Between that, there was trying to think, there was another one I really liked too, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
The elephant.
Oh, you know, yeah. Well, anyway, that was mine. So you guys have any other favorite lines you want to mention, or should we move on?
I don't know, Seth. It'll come to me. I'm like you. I forgot, but hell, it'll come to me. If you want to move on, we can. If not, we can try to remember.
Oh, that's fine. So the next thing that I have, the trivia section. Oh, you V.
So I found quite a bit, and it's a little all over the place, but I actually really enjoyed looking into it. So the scene where, do you remember the scene where they first get to the motel room and you see Sam go inside and Dean's still kind of looking out of the parking lot, and Sam yanks him by his back into the motel room? Jared Padalecki was actually asked to do that by like surprising him. Jensen didn't know that he was going to do it. So when you actually see the shock on his face when he's being yanked back into the room, that's actually genuine shock because he had no idea that it was actually going to happen.
Okay.
Love that.
That's
Love
cool.
that. Oh, another thing, Luke, you're always talking about like where it's filmed and stuff. The first episode was the only episode that was actually filmed in Los Angeles. All the other ones they actually did in Vancouver, Canada, the British Columbia kind of area, which is why you get all that beautiful scenery. And I know that you love that. Let's see. Ooh, the scene where Sam and Dean are researching on the computer in the library to find everything out about Constance, see what happens. That was actually the first scene that was filmed. So I thought
Oh
that was pretty
wow.
interesting because they already seem so comfortable with each other, and how they're kind of playful with each other, and knowing that that was the first one that they actually filmed. And it was already so natural. So I really, really like that aspect of it.
Oh yeah.
Next thing, when the police take Dean in and he's being interrogated by that really grumpy officer who I can't stand. Um, he asks for Dean's name, and Dean tells him it's Ted Nugent. Ted Nugent. I had no idea, but he's actually a hard rock guitarist. Did not know that. But apparently he's pretty well known, and this would be the very first alias music related that Dean actually uses. And of course, everybody knows that it continues on and on through the episodes. Dean's always calling himself somebody from
Oh yeah.
some kind of rock band that he enjoys.
Mhm.
Let me see. Let me see. Ooh, so in the early draft of the pilot, they actually were thinking about not going with Winchester. They were thinking about, oh, and I really don't like this. They were thinking about going with Harrison as a last name, which is really common. And I'm really, really glad they stuck with Winchester because you don't hear that. It just fits so well. I don't know if that's just because I'm used to hearing it and I know that it goes with it. Um, or it's just because I don't like Harrison. The same thing with John's name. They were actually talking about going with the name Jack. So Jack Harrison instead of going with John Winchester, which I don't like Jack Harrison either. But again, I don't know if it's because I'm just used to it. Um, but yeah, I don't like it. Don't like it. Let me see. Ooh, so here was an interesting one. Um, Obviously, we know with the beginning with John finding Mary on the ceiling, and that's how she dies. One of the first kind of ideas that were written for Mary's death, they were actually thinking about having John and Mary get into a car crash, which was caused by the demon who obviously wanted Sam. And then in the car crash, Mary would die. So that's how they were originally thinking about doing it. Again, I'm so glad they didn't go that route. I mean, all these things that I'm finding that they were thinking about, so glad they didn't go with because it makes so much more sense. It makes it so much more interesting with the scene with her on the ceiling and killing her that way from the demon. Um, Another thing that they were thinking about was having Sam and Dean being raised by their aunt and uncle, whomever those people are, without any kind of knowledge of the supernatural. And with that, the element of the supernatural would be completely dropped, so that the boys weren't going to be raised as hunters. And then the showrunners actually felt like the original pilot, in which Dean had to convince Sam that the supernatural existed instead of them already knowing about it. They just thought that it would be way too awkward with him showing up and, hey, this is real. And Sam, no, I don't know what you're talking about, kind of thing. It would have been way too awkward. So it made way more sense to have John raise them as hunters. So they both had the knowledge of it, even though they didn't all stick together with Sam going away to school and not wanting anything to do with it. Ooh, so the original plan in shooting the bridge scene, um, where the boys have to actually jump off, you have Sam and uh, Dean being like, the car is coming at him, so they both run and jump off the side of the bridge. So the plan was to have them both fall into the river. But I guess there was some kind of costuming error, and they only had enough for one of them to fall in to the river. So obviously Sam didn't fall completely in, and Dean did, which which accidentally put humor into the episode with Dean falling in and Sam like calling out to him, "Are you okay?" And I don't remember what it is he said, like peachy or something like that. But it brought some humor into the episode, which obviously was not intended. So I really like that. Uh, let me see. Oh, I thought it was interesting that when they did the auditions for the actual show, Jensen actually auditioned for the role of Sam. And Jared came in and he read as well. And after they wanted Sam to have more of a innocent look, and after seeing Jared, they thought that obviously he had more of the look of Sam, and they figured that with Dean, with Jensen, he would be able to pull off being the older brother and being more rugged and just being more I don't know, having to take care of everything and being able to really step up and kind of be in charge of all of the situations. So they came to that decision. Um, uh, yeah, so I thought that was really cool. Another thing that I liked was that Kripke really wanted the car to almost be like an actual character. With obviously, you already see that he gets mad that the Constance ghost bitch that he says was messing with his car, showing that he's already overprotective of it. And then the ending scene with him threatening Sam that if he messed up his car, he was going to kill him. So you
Oh,
already know that he's attached to this car, which ends up being a huge thing throughout the show and ends up getting the nickname Baby. So it actually becomes its own character. So he was successful in making the car an actual character.
yeah.
Oh, okay. And then the last thing I'm going to say, again, it's going back to my favorite scene at the end where you have Jess on the ceiling and Sam's freaking out. And Dean comes in to try to save them. They actually used real fire in that scene. And they told Jensen and Jared to kind of act as long as they could until they got too hot and then to run and get out of the room. And they had firefighters standing by to put out the fire as soon as they were ready to go. And I was listening and looking into an interview that they did with Jensen Ackles, and he said that there was part of the scene where Jared is all emotional because he's finding Jess on the ceiling and he's kind of like fighting when Dean's trying to like pull him out. Sam's fighting him on it because he doesn't want to go, and Jensen was getting really hot. He's supposed to be like pulling him out of the room and yelling, "We gotta go, we gotta go." Well, Jensen was getting really hot and he accidentally yelled at, "I'm getting hot, we gotta go." So I love that he actually did that because he got so consumed with this fire making him really hot. So he messed up his line. So they had to obviously redo the scene so that he got the line right. And then they were able to get out of there, and firefighters were able to come in and get rid of all the fire and really put it out. So I really love that they actually they didn't use like special like computer effects to like put some fake fire in there. They actually used real fire, and I love that aspect. Um, yeah, and I think that was and obviously the pilot was directed by David Nutter, and I guess he has a reputation of being like the pilot king. Because he has actually taken over a lot of pilots and a lot of different shows, like Roswell, Dark Angel, Smallville, like that show, Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles, The Mentalist, Arrow.
Yeah.
So I guess he was really well known, and obviously he pulled off and did a really good job with Supernatural, kicked ass with that. So obviously that one's going to be my favorite above all of them. Yeah, so I'm gonna stop talking now because I feel like I just talked a lot. But yeah, I think that covers all the ones that I wanted to talk about. Yeah, that's it. On to you guys.
Oh,
It's cool. That was a lot of good information there.
It's a lot.
You know the cop you don't like?
Yeah.
That's R.D. Call. He played Pat and Dickey in State of Grace and at Close Range, respectively. And he's really good at his
Is he really?
job. Yeah, he's
I just
cool,
don't
man.
like him getting on to Dean.
He was creepy in at Close Range. Ugh.
See? Creepy. That's exactly what I
Yeah.
said before. I don't like
Yep.
him.
Yeah, he's really good, man. I mean, not good. I'm talking about the actor, you know.
Yeah,
The
I hear you.
character's a
I get
booger
it.
bear.
A booger bear.
Oh yeah, booger bear.
All right, let's move on to Luke's segment here, the lore. Tell us about the woman in white.
All right, dudes and dudettes. So this thing started like in the 1300s, and the weird thing is, like a lot of these stories, man, they are established in periods of time where these people would not interact with. You know what I'm saying? It's very strange, but they're in Ireland, all over Europe, in the eastern part of the world, Australia, United States, Canada. They are everywhere. And they have a few common denominators with them, like obviously she's going to be in a white wedding dress or a white gown. And most of the time it's a gown, and it depends on what culture it is. Like in Japan, they're in white kimonos, you know, and they always have the long, I call it like the ring look, Samara's look, with the hair coming down. Even if it's like in Ireland, they're not redheaded. It's weird. It's like dark headed. Uh, it's like seeing Samara over there getting people, you know. But
Getting people.
um, it's always in small towns. It's always like the local legend, you know, and whatnot. And I looked into several of them, and I tried to pick out the most interesting one. I'll save the most gruesome for last. Oh, puppy dog.
Sorry. He jumped
Oh,
up.
all right. Well, the one from Canada featured a young wife. Her husband was very good to her. This was one of the ones that was rare because the husband was good to her and he wasn't suspecting her of cheating. They had this wonderful place they would go to, um, and a waterfall. I tried to find out a name for this waterfall and I could not. But and they would go there and spend time, do things, you know, lovers do and whatnot.
Do
Well, he
things.
goes off to war and is actually killed fighting the British. And she, along with all this heartache and the loss of her love, takes herself, obviously, to the waterfall, flings herself off, and of course, dies. This story bounces all over around Quebec, this particular one with the waterfall in that part of Canada. And the funny thing is you'd think they would be that waterfall, the biggest one would be called White, the Lady in White Waterfall or White Lady Waterfall. Actually, there's a one about 5 miles away that is called the White Lady Waterfall, and she didn't supposedly jump off it. So, and that's Canada. Then we go on to Estonia. This is a cool one, man. This is particularly cruel. Not that that's cool, but it's good. You'll see. Anyway, there was in Estonia, there's this castle, Haapsalu Castle, and it was a monastery, but it also had a cathedral. And there was monks, priests, or canons, if you want to. And it was strictly forbidden. No interaction between men and women, emotionally, sexually, none of that. And this canon actually fell in love with a young maiden. I mean, fell hard. And they devised this plan to where he would actually cut her hair, make her look like an altar boy, dress her like one, and have her come in to where they could be able to be together at certain times of the night or whatnot. And obviously, they were found out by the bishop. He was, of course, just in prison for a certain amount of time. She was immured, if I'm saying that right. I want to say immured because I'm country, but immured. And that's when you're sealed in a room like a building, take you. And they did this for 7 days. It took her 7 days to die. She begged, pleaded, starving. And yeah, 7 days and she died. And they say in Estonia, around Haapsalu Castle, you will see her on cool August nights. It's a full moon. Yeah. So that's Canada, Estonia. Now we have New York. This one is this one is particularly sad too. They all are for different reasons. This one has a mother. Hang on. And she has a daughter, and she loves her daughter. Obviously, all parents love their kids, but they're particularly close. Well, one day, and this has taken place, I think, in the 1870s, supposedly, in New York State. And so her daughter goes off to the market one day. I think she's like 10 or 11, to pick up some supplies or whatnot, and she never returns. And a couple hours go by, and back then, kids were dependent upon for a lot of things. They had to pull their weight in poor households and whatnot. And she wouldn't just be gone for 2 or 3 hours. The mother got worried and went to the local sheriff, and they looked into it, could not find her. Well, the mother had this dispute with this neighbor, this farmer, and she didn't particularly care for him. And for whatever reason, she started blaming him for the daughter's disappearance. And nothing ever came of it. Like I said, they never found the daughter. And she basically went insane over the course of like 15 years. And she got 2 German shepherds, the biggest she could find, and give them her scent and searched the whole is miles, as big a radius as she possibly could, until finally she had enough, and she threw herself off the bridge into Lake Ontario and died. Strange thing is, the dogs went with her. They say, yeah, if you're around that area of New York, you will hear a woman screaming and the dogs howling. Yeah, I thought that was
Poor
cool, man.
doggies.
I know, but I thought it was, I don't know, hearing dogs howl at night, that'd be kind of creepy, like the
That would be
American
very
Werf in
creepy.
London. Oh, that American Werf in London howl gets me. It's like, oh. Now, the best one, or the most gruesome. So this one is from Brazil. And this one, basically all of these are what they call honor killings, in that the woman has either cheated. Most of the time it's just suspected of cheating. Okay, it's never proven. It's just the man's insecure and he's like, oh, duh, duh, and they kill him. That's how this goes. It's crazy. But this one particular case, actually the young wife and the husband was older, much older. It was more like an arranged marriage. And he had slaves, okay, at his residence or whatnot. And he suspected her because this one man was very kind to her and she was very kind to him, because for whatever reason, him and her connected. But there was nothing there physically, nothing like that. He accused her of that, got it in his head, caged her up, starved her, didn't want to kill her. He just wanted to starve her until she was ravenous. You know what he fed her? The
I don't know if I
suspected
want to know.
boyfriend. The suspected
No.
boyfriend chopped him up into morsels and fed him to her. The whole body. He starved her until she would eat everything he would put down in front of her. And they say that in the Brazilian countryside, all over Brazil, you can hear this woman.
That's disgusting.
It is. I thought it was crazy. I was like, ooh, that's Hannibal Lecter shit. eating motherfuckers, you know? Golly.
Except Hannibal Lecter liked it.
Oh yeah, you're right. This woman was she at this point she liked it because it was all she was getting. She's
At
like,
this point, she
sure.
liked it.
Yeah, she's like, I want some human supper. But yes, Seth, Canada, New York, Brazil, and Estonia is the lore I have for today.
I love that.
Thank you.
Oh, those are
Love
interesting.
that.
Pretty different from each other.
Thank you. Yours was very good as well.
I think both of you did with this. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I didn't really have anything lined up for what else to talk about. Well, this will evolve as we go along, but coming up at 46 minutes already, so
I do
not too
have
bad.
something to add, though.
Do you have
I do
any
have something to
final
add.
thought? The pilot episode of Super.
I do have
Yeah,
something
go
to add. So, with you know how John has that kind of deep voice,
Go ahead.
Jensen Ackles doesn't. So you have the first episode, the pilot, where Jensen Ackles is kind of, I'm like waving my pen at my camera. Well, he has kind of like he's like normalizing his voice. Well, in between the pilot that gets picked up and they start with episode 2, they wanted him to kind of like mimic John's voice. So if you listen to the pilot and then listen to how Dean's voice is in episode 2, it's deeper because he actually makes himself sound deeper, and then he continues it for the rest of the show, which is why he has that kind of deep voice, and then he gets in the habit of actually using it. But yeah, I meant to say that earlier. So you have to pay attention when you watch the first one and then when you go into the second one.
I noticed that. I did.
Yeah.
I did because I've watched it so much that the pilot, and I was like, his voice is softer. Like even when he says the line I like, Dad's out on a hunting trip, it's softer. And then I was like, and that's cool. So in the second episode, Wendigo, it's on right now, muted. I can't wait to get to Wendigo. Ooh. That's some good stuff, man. That's it. That's all I got.
That's all I got.
Did you have anything else?
Final thoughts. Yeah, man. I again love the episode.
Yeah, we haven't gotten
I
to that
thought.
yet.
Do what now? I didn't hear you, Seth.
Sorry, like I can say you hear me.
I can hear you now. What'd you say? Okay.
I have a delay here, so like I'll speak and then 20 seconds you guys will hear what I'm saying. So
okay. I'm hearing you now fine.
Yeah.
So final thoughts, man.
Go ahead,
like
Luke.
I said,
Luke, final thoughts.
Yeah, okay. Cool. I like to say, like, if anybody's out there, I'm working with a young lady right now, in fact, with drug addiction. And if anybody out there, you know, has a hard time or is dealing with something or dealing with a family member, you can message me on Messenger, Luke Hardiman. And if I can, I'll talk if I can. And mental illness, too. Is so not a priority in this country. It's stigmatized. It is horribly treated. And if there's anybody out there having a hard time with that, or, I mean, I deal with some mental issues myself, and I look at them like superpowers. But message me, and if you ever need to talk to somebody, I'm crazy, but you'll have somebody to talk to. That's it. That's all I got, Seth.
Do you have any final thoughts on the episode itself?
Oh, hell yeah. As far as the episode goes, I thought I started a while ago, and I know he had a delay, but I thought he said we're going to do that later, and I was like, okay. But yeah, like Virginia said, it's a great starting point, and like you said, it covers so much shit and manages to bring it all together to establish so much that we're going to see going forward. You know what I mean? You all touched on everything from the relationship to John to Mary. I mean, and the main thing is the dynamic between the Winchester brothers. And I think Crippy and him knocked it out of the park. It's some of the best writing, especially like we said, the first 5. Those are really good. Really good.
Oh yeah, definitely. I agree with you 100%. Especially the brother dynamic. I mean, that's really what pulled me in. Obviously, I
Yep.
love the supernatural things, but my favorite part would be the relationship between them and the humor that you get. And goodness, even the fights that they have,
Yeah.
it's powerful, and you really get dragged into that relationship and stick with it through the entire thing. You want to, because you end up loving their relationship and loving Sam and Dean. So I mean, it really works out. I really, really like that.
At first, I was drawn, like I said last week, to the horror of it and the
Mhm.
traveling aspect and stuff. But once I watched it more and more, just like you said, the characters, the dynamic between them, how much they love each other. You can tell
Mhm.
they love each other. And I'm a sucker for guys who have emotion, but they're they don't want to talk about it.
Oh.
I got something in my eye. Oh, shit like that. It gets me, especially when Dean gets emotional, and stuff. It's really, I don't know, man. It hits me in my parts.
You feel it
I
everywhere.
feel it. I
Feel
feel it. I'm like Mark Wahlberg, Marky Mark. Feel it, feel it. All right. That's all I got, Seth. I'm sorry. Papa Seth's going to get me.
No problem,
Mhm.
man.
No, Papa Seth.
You guys are doing great. Just like my computer keeps glitching, so there's a lot of stuff I'm just not hearing. To this to say.
That's cool.
It's funny because this didn't happen Friday night when I was doing that show with Ray.
Uh-huh.
But every time we do this supernatural show, like, I have to like
No,
glitch
it's way
crazy.
better than last time though.
But anyway,
Yes.
Virginia,
I mean, I
is
was
it?
kind
Yeah.
of plugging into Luke, so I mean, I was kind of just agreeing with him and throwing my idea with him. I mean, that was pretty much my ending thoughts on it.
Piggybacking.
Yes, exactly. Teamwork. Teamwork. It's on you, Seth.
It's on you, Seth.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, okay. My final thoughts is that the pilot episode is very strong start. I think they laid a lot of groundwork, not only for the season to come, but for the next couple seasons to come, based off everything we learned throughout, especially seasons 4 and 5, where they really kind of connect the dots to everything. Yeah, it's just well done, well done episode that kind of hooks you in. The dynamic between the two characters is great. I think the acting is great. I'm really glad that that they went with Jensen for Dean instead of Sam.
Oh
That
yeah.
was because the casting for these two characters is great as is, but and then of course in the show, just like even later on as we go on and we start getting introduced to all the supporting characters. There's so many supporting characters to like too, but this episode was very, very, very strong, and so that's my last one. It is made my top 25 list. I think it's a must-watch episode for sure. But yeah, so that is it for our coverage of the pilot episode of Supernatural. We will be back next Tuesday for Wendigo, which is Luke's most anticipated, it seems.
Mm.
There you go. You guys have anything else to say before we close out?
I'm just having fun, man. This is fun.
Fun.
Fun and stuff. I'm having fun.
Good.
Oh, yes. And Luke has
Um,
decided that he's going to transform himself to look like Dean.
I'm gonna get me a wig, a prosthetic nose.
Don't forget the jacket.
Oh yeah, with a little collar. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Make it happen. I expect it by Tuesday.
Okay, I will do my best. I'll get my wig maker right on it.
I see more of a Bobby Singer in him.
Oh my gosh, yes. That's a better idea.
It is.
Get
I
on
was
that,
kidding
Luke.
about
Fix it.
Jensen, Dean. We're just fucking around. But Bobby, I could pull off Bobby.
Yes.
Give
Get
me
a
like
hat.
a pillow.
Get a gun.
Give me a pillow.
Yeah.
Be like, God damn it, you idiots.
Go around asking
Yes.
people if you want a prom date to them.
Y'all are smack dab in the middle of it. Shit like that.
Family don't end in blood.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo, princess.
I like it when he's dressed
All right.
up.
Well,
Oh, I was just gonna say I like it when Bobby's slicked up and that one episode, season 2 or 3, and he's got his hair slicked back and he's all dressed up. Yeah, he's sharp.
yeah. All right. See you next week with the next. Have a good night, guys.